Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about a sonnet written by John Keats. The title of the sonnet is On First Looking into Chapman's Homer. First of all, we should have the background knowledge of this sonnet. So friends, this sonnet was written in 1815 and was published in 1816. John Keats wrote this sonnet to express his excitement, his inspiration, and his joy after reading Chapman's translation of Homer's epics. Most importantly, his main reason and his main motive behind writing this sonnet was to pay tribute to Homer for his great epics and also to Chapman for his great work of translation. It was his friend Gordon Clark who first introduced him to Chapman's translation of Homer's epics. So he read this translation, and after that he felt so excited and he was so inspired that he wanted to express his joy, his inspiration by writing this sonnet. So now let's start the summary of the poem. Much have I travelled in the realms of gold, and many goodly estates and kingdoms seen. Realms of gold means the countries of gold, but figuratively it means the great works of poetry written by the poets of the world. Goodly means quite large, estates and kingdoms. So here the great works of poetry are being imagined by the poets as the great kingdoms, each having a separate ruler. And the poet is imagining himself as a traveler in these kingdoms. So, in these two lines, the poet says that he has traveled in these great kingdoms and in these countries of gold. But metaphorically, he wants to say that he has read all the great works of poetry written by the greatest poets of the world. Next, round many western islands have I been, which birds in fealty to Apollo hold. Round means through, bards means poets, fealty means loyalty. Apollo is the sun god who is also supposed to be the god of poetry in Greek mythology, to whom all Greek poets are supposed to pay homage and to seek poetic inspiration from him. He says that he has been through many western islands, but by this he means that he has read all the works of poetry written by European poets, which birds in fealty to Apollo hold. By this he means that while reading the European poetry, he found that all the European poets they obeyed and followed the classical manner, or they made frequent references in their poetry to Greek mythology. Oft of one wide expanse had I been told that deep-browed Homer ruled as his domain. Oft means often. One wide expanse means a great kingdom. Deep-browed Homer. It refers to the intellect and wisdom of Homer. Domain means kingdom or state. Here, the poet says that he was told about a great kingdom where Homer ruled. By this he means that while reading the poetries of European poets, he came across many frequent references in them to Homer and his epics, like Odyssey and Iliad. So, this is how kids came to know about Homer. Yet did I never breathe its pure serene till I heard Chapman speak loud and bold. Serene means a very peaceful, calm, and fresh. Chapman. George Chapman was a very famous Elizabethan dramatist and a poet who translated the epics of Homer into English language. Loud and bold. It means that George Chapman translated the works of Homer into a very impassioned style. So here the poet says that instead of knowing about the great kingdom of Homer, he was not able to take breath in its pure and peaceful air, in its fresh atmosphere. By this he means that though he came to know about Homer in European poetries, but still he was not able to read Homer's epics because he didn't know Greek language, and Homer's epics were written in Greek language. So he says, till I heard Chapman speak loud and bold. He says that he read the works of Homer only when he got the translation of Homer's epics, which was done by George Chapman. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies when a new planet swims into his ken. Watcher of the skies means the astronomer, swims means makes a sudden appearance, causing the sense of wonder and thrill. Into his ken means into the range of his vision or into the range of his sight and observation. Here, the poet says that his joy on reading the Chapman's translation of Homer's epics was very similar to the joy of astronomer who had discovered a new planet. He says that when he read the translation of Homer's epics, which was done by Chapman, he felt very excited, he felt very delighted, and his joy was very similar to the one who had discovered a new planet. Or like stout Cortez when with eagle eyes he stared at the Pacific and all his men. So friends, here we should notice that this is an historical inaccuracy in this poem. It was not Cortez who discovered the Pacific, but Vasco Balboa, the Spanish navigator who discovered the Pacific. But we must know that the most important thing is the emotion of wonder and the emotion of joy caused by the discovery of the Pacific. It's not important here that who had discovered the Pacific, but rather it is the emotion of wonder, emotion of joy and excitement caused by the discovery of the Pacific, which is very similar to his own joy on discovering the Chapman's translation. So the poet says that his joy and his excitement was like the one who had discovered the Pacific coast, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien. With a wild surmise means in the state of wonder, excitement, and curiosity. Silent means that they all were speechless at this discovery. Peak means the top of a mountain. So here the poet says that the one who had discovered the Pacific coast, he was so excited and he was very amazed and excited at this discovery. And also his all followers, his all companions, they all were speechless and they all were amazed and they all were looking at each other with a very excitement and with a sense of wonder from the top of a mountain which was in Darien. So friends, this was all about this sonnet. I hope this will help you to understand this sonnet well. So with this I end this video. Happy learning, keep loving literature.